Okay, welcome Per and welcome everyone. I'm just setting up everything and I apologize for being late. I am trying to see whether we are already live on the LinkedIn, and we are going to be we are live on LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube as usual. And happy to have Per again with on this SMB 360 session, where he has been kind enough to share lots of his thoughts and lots of his thoughts on pricing strategy, customer segmentation, and lots of ways how he has helped a lot of organizations, including private equity firms, search funds, and a lot of other things. Welcome, Per. And I want to before you start, I want to introduce yourself very well, because whenever if somebody wants to know more about Per, just Google the Price Whisperer, or just Google his last name and first name. I think you will get a lot of more information about. He is the real authority on pricing. He's not and he's a author. He's a thought leader, and I have high respect for him. He has done more than 700 projects, and most of them, in my opinion, have shown tremendous improvement in sales volume, improvement or growth, or in the revenue as well as profits. So, have I missed anything in explaining what you do and who
Well,
you are?
first of all, Sandeep, it's great to be on the show, and for the audience here, I just want to mention that I didn't pay Sandeep to say all that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I
you
agree.
know,
I agree. Yeah. So I think we are is live. We are live on that. I can see that. So now,
yep.
my today's topic is seven secrets. You know, everybody is looking for secrets or the keys and all that to success, right? We live in the world of instant gratification, and I assume people think pricing is a number. Many people think pricing is a number. They can just tweak in and just add another maybe 10% of it and see what happens. I I think there's a more to it. There's a more method. There's a more unique. If I understand from you, there's a unique process you have developed,
hmm
and today we are going, and people can look into that in our previous sessions. But today's session is seven secrets. What are these secrets which we can help to increase the sales volume and even at the higher prices?
Yeah. Well, first of all, there's a despite the we despite us living in inflationary times, there's still a lot of companies that are really very scared for increasing prices. Despite that their costs are increasing and putting pressure on their margins. And so if we want to talk about secrets,
Yeah,
I think it's important to realize that um, really to realize that you have to retain your margins. You have to increase your prices when you're under margin pressure, and it works, right? So
yeah, yeah,
it's not that and I talk to so many CEOs, and they tell me that oh, if I increase my price with 1%, I'm going to lose all my business. Of course not.
yeah,
you know so the first secret is that you can increase prices. Now, the way to do it successfully, more successful than other ways, is using the right methodology to increase prices. And when you do, you can uh, also often increase your sales volume, and you can keep your customers happier too.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. And when we talk about increasing the prices, there's a lot of resistance, like you said, in accepting. Even I think, and what has your experience even after doing that for a project and recommendations to the companies? Do you see that CEOs have gladly accepted it, or have they still have some issues in moving
It's
moving with your recommendation.
yeah, and that is if we want to talk about this as the second secret is that I mentioned that there's a lot of companies that are very reluctant to increase prices, and what we do in my company and the method I've developed is all about accurately measure willingness to pay, and and um, and if those willingness to pay measure that is being expressed as accurate predictions of sales volume and revenue at different prices, if when this is presented to a company, often it gives the company the guts, if you like, to increase prices, the
Yeah,
confidence that there are room to maneuver, that they actually leave some money on the table for no reason at all, and that they can easily correct that with increasing prices, right? So
yeah,
so creating that confidence in an organization of increasing prices is a that the ability the company has to increase prices is the second secret, that you um,
yeah.
if you're confident, you can do it. If you're
Yeah,
really
and if
worried
you,
about it, you
yeah,
won't do it, you know.
yeah, yeah, and if you know how much your customer is willing to pay you, I think it's a very very important thing, and most of the people are I meet all the time have guessed their pricing. They have
Yeah,
looked at a couple of couple of their competition, couple of their they do some a little bit of research and say, hey, I think customer is at 8, the other competitor is at $8 or $10, let's be at 9, and I think
yeah.
we make enough money. And that's not how pricing is done, like you have explained. So one another
No.
question which I want to talk about is, whenever we think of increasing the price, the one of the challenges CEOs and business owners have is that salespeople will not accept it. Or
Mhm.
there will be some sales things. Do you think that makes a difference? Or and oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the salespeople have. I mean, they're on the front line. You know, they're the frontline soldiers of a company, and as so they are grind down, because what they hear every day is that you are too expensive and your competition is cheaper and better. You know, and obviously this is true sometimes, but in the vast majority of cases is not, right? So so salespeople, um, unless maybe apart from the very very best ones, eventually lose confidence in their own company and confidence in
Hmm.
their pricing,
Hmm.
and and therefore it's incredibly important to remind the salespeople that this is what your customers are actually willing to pay, as opposed
Yeah,
to what they tell you in negotiations.
yeah.
And
So
you
that.
know, I'm using this and because we know there's this term, buyer liar, right?
Hmm.
And just as an example, I mean, and I encourage the audience to think about this in your particular circumstance. Imagine that you're out there, you're about to buy a new car, and for whatever reason, you find a dealer that has the brand and the make and the model you want, and but for some reason you want it in white, right? um, are you going to tell the car salesman, uh, it, I can see that you have it in white, and because of that I'm willing to pay 2 grand more? No,
Hmm.
no, you wouldn't. What you'll say
Yeah,
is that if you have it in white and you knock another $1,000 off the price, I'll buy it, right?
yeah, yeah.
So, and this is just human behavior.
Yeah.
So
So
we always, everybody wants a better deal, right?
yeah, so you're saying that that becomes the improvement, if I can understand, improvement of sales processes or improvement of the sales training and all that becomes the third secret, and the pricing in improving
Absolutely, yeah,
this. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And
And
yeah, go ahead.
no, and there's another very important thing here as well, and again, that's part of the process that we developed, and it's not only for salespeople to understand what their market is willing to pay, it is what they're willing to pay for, right?
Hmm.
What are the particular feature, functions, benefits that will truly generate a higher willingness to pay than other feature, functions, and benefits. So that the salespeople can, with a considerable amount of confidence, use those features in their negotiations with customers.
Yeah. Okay. And so I was looking at my stream on the LinkedIn. Maybe there is some challenges in refreshing in my iPad, but it's okay. I'm recording it, and I can share it again with the audience
Yeah.
if there are any issues. So my another question I have is, when we have talked past in the past, and if do you think another secret can be uh, customer segmentation, or anything like that?
Yeah, the again, if we talk about driving higher sales volume and higher prices, is again one of these key elements, and is to understand which customer persona or which customer segment um, would have a higher willingness to pay than another customer segment or another persona. And the difference, of course, being that if you can focus on the segment that has a higher willingness to pay, if you know what that segment is, it will support higher sales volume at higher prices.
Yeah,
And
I
most companies do customer segmentation based on sort of guesses and gut feel and what do you have,
yeah, yeah. I
and there is a um, there's something that is important here, actually related to this, and that many companies look at their sales transaction data to figure out what would be the best segment, right? Um,
Yeah.
and the problem here is that any company goes to market with a certain value proposition, right?
Mhm.
That value proposition is being accepted by a portion of the market. That portion of the market is who becomes customers. But there may
Yeah,
be other segments of the market that would be more inclined to a different message, and a different message, and they may be the folks that have a different willingness to pay, right? A
yeah.
higher willingness to pay.
Definitely. And I think like what message we that founder or business owner or the CEO decides to go for actually changes the direction of the entire company.
Yeah,
And I think like we see so many people who have built beautiful products, and those products, and they have 10 different benefits. Now it's a decision which can make or break the company, which one they should put their money on, right? and
yeah,
and I and if they don't have, and if they're just guessing and just doing a gut feel kind of a approach, that creates so we're not talking about pricing only here, we're talking about a bunch of other stuff which
yeah,
actually leads up to the pricing strategy, and you take care of all of them. I know. So
yeah.
I think.
I think the key for a company, whether it's a startup or not, is to is really to put pricing uh, as a centerpiece in the overall business strategy, because when you do, there's so many small decisions that's going to be different, in a company. Product managers are going to think of how can we package our product so as to increase willingness to pay? How can we possibly unbundle our product so we can increase willingness to pay?
Yeah.
And you remember, when it used to be when you bought an iPhone, you got a charger, you got a cable, and you got some kind of earbuds, right?
Yeah.
And then a couple of years ago, Apple decided to unbundle all of that. So you had to buy the charger separately, you had to buy the cable separately, and you had to buy your earbuds separately, right?
Yeah.
And I did a sort of a back of a napkin calculation on what that unbundling would do for Apple, and came to the result of $4.5 billion in revenue.
Yeah, yeah, and I think I agree with you. And so in the and so what you're saying is unbundling becomes very important, and unbundling can is was one of the secrets you wanted to talk about, right? So
Hmm.
and that happens in B2C as well as B2B world, and that can be unbundling can be a very good impact, can have a very
Yeah.
good impact even in a B2B services.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there is unbundling is very important um, um, for another reason, and that's the imagine, and again, imagine this, that you have a company who's going to buy some IT equipment, right? IT switches for their data center, and they negotiate this with either, either the vendor or maybe a reseller, a VAR of some kind, right?
Yeah,
And of course the company wants the lowest price, and the seller wants the highest price, and it may end up with that the purchase agent of the company is saying that unless you lower your price with another 4%, I'm not going to buy, right? Now,
yeah,
imagine that the company have two price lists. One price list that the customer have seen, another price list that the customer under no circumstances should see, right? And they have different SKU numbers for those switches, those equipments, with or without the appropriate cabling, just like with the Apple case, right?
yeah,
So what can happen here is that the seller say to the buyer, okay, I can give you that additional 4% discount that you're asking for, but you have to supply your own cables,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So that means that the buyer get the price that he wants or she wants, and the seller get the business at a lower cost. So
yeah.
margin is being maintained. But in order for this to work, there has to be two SKU numbers,
Hmm.
right?
I
Otherwise you
agree.
can't
Yeah.
otherwise you can't process it. The
Yes. Yeah.
same product with or without cables.
Hmm. So all these, like the way you have explained me, it explained right now is it leads me to think that we are solving customers' problems, and in any secrets, we always talk about two things: what value are we providing, how are we creating the value of a customer in a customer proposition, whatever we are offering, as well as what problem are we solving. How do you rate them in your list of these seven, and what
Um,
is your opinion?
yeah, the if we talk specifically about increasing prices, right? And increasing prices and maintaining or even increasing sales volume at the same time. First of all, you need to have that basis of um, what 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 customers are truly willing to pay, right?
Hmm.
That's the first thing. You need to understand which customer segments have a higher willingness to pay, and thus supporting higher prices, and what feature functions and so forth that supports higher prices. But then, as you go through the and that leads first of all to a more effective customer targeting, and marketing and sales messages that better convey the value that you give to the customer. And because of that, you have the opportunity when you go through the price increase. First of all, you need to measure. You need to message it in a proper way to your ongoing customers. For your new customers, you don't, but for your ongoing customers, you need to have a way of messaging this in the right way, and and that is an opportunity to remind your customers about the value you deliver. It's
Mhm.
an opportunity to remind them your differentiators, an opportunity to remind them of how you are different than the other guy, how you are add how you can deliver more value than your competition, right?
Yeah.
And because of that, you end up with with focusing on a customer segments that are willing to pay higher prices, with features and functions that drives higher prices, and in the end, a more happy customers because it's a better product to market fit. So
Agreed.
it's a win-win-win.
Yeah. I agree. So I think we had a great discussion on these 7 points, and if anybody wants to know more about how and what PER's organization does for improving the revenue and profits of and share under value of the companies, please reach out to PER or reach out to me. I can get that message across. And anything else you would like to say here, Per?
No, I think you started off saying that the best way of finding me is simply to Google the Price Whisper, or I mean, because
Yeah.
you'll find me, you'll find my books, you'll find my company, and I'm always happy to talk to anybody about their pricing challenges
Yeah.
and learn about your particular circumstance and see if and how we can help.
Sure. Thank you very much, Par, for your time. Looking
All
forward to
right,
meet
thanks
you
you,
again.
Sandep,
Thank you.
and thanks for the audience listening here.
Thank you. Bye.